drop a stitch.
Oh.
How much fun is this?
Isn't this?
So much fun.
This was a really good year.
The wine or this year or the one
All
that
of
you
the
were born?
The wine. All of the above. Well, hi, welcome everybody. We're here at River City Yarns, and we've got Celebrity Knit Night. My name is Barb. It's my sister Cynthia. And we have Tracie and Jodi from the Grocery Girls. And our special celebrity knit star, Fiona Ellis.
Hi everyone.
We're so happy you guys could join us and to come together tonight. It's so much fun. Thank you so much for being here with us.
It's fun being with the people.
Yeah, isn't
Right?
it?
Yes.
It really is.
Thank you for inviting us. How much fun is this?
Yeah.
No one should ever knit alone. No.
No.
You should always knit with people.
That's like drinking. Remember
And
Dad
wine.
used to say that too. No one should drink alone.
That's true. Yeah.
We got so inspired, Tracie, Jodi, we got to tell you, because I watched your craft seed video, and I think you did too.
Yeah.
Where you were
Thank
talking
you.
about knitting with a celebrity.
Yeah.
And we kind of had it in our back pocket that Fiona was coming here. We'd booked that quite some time ago, and we thought, whoa, there's a perfect occasion. Fiona's our in-house resident knitting star.
You can't get rid of me, is what you say.
Oh, we love having you here.
That's
I
right.
love coming.
Yeah, so we thought, well, let's get together and have some fun and do a little podcast about it too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So tonight we're going to talk about knitting. With Fiona, we've got some great questions to ask you.
Okay.
We're hoping not to put you on the spot too much, but you know.
But maybe.
What are you going to ask me?
And we thought we would just kind of sit around and chat.
Cool. And knit.
Yeah, and knit.
And drink.
And drink.
Mhm.
Yeah, how perfect is that?
Yeah.
I was so excited with it. I knew that you guys were coming.
We were so
And we did that whole Instagram thing where
Yeah.
we're messaging back and forth saying, oh, I can't believe you're going to be there. I'm so excited. And they're like, no, I'm so excited. No, I'm most excited. They went back and
I'm
forth a few
clearly more
times.
excited than you.
And now it's actually happening. So,
Yeah.
it's great.
So welcome, yeah. You know, tell us a little bit, Fiona, about some of the classes that you're going to be having here
Oh,
this
yeah,
week. Just
you
a-
have me on a full roster,
We
right?
do.
Making the most of me, which is what I love to do. That I love meeting all the students and things. So now I'm going to do it in order. I probably get it wrong, but I'm going to do a finishing class tomorrow. And hey, look, I might even be demoing this. Right, I'm still finishing this sweater. I'll tell you about that in a little while. I'm also going to be doing a brand new class that I've just developed for. It's based on sort of like dropped stitches and laddering.
I'm
Let
so
me
excited
just put this away.
to
So it's
see
a
that.
kind of thing. What happens?
Here, I'll hold that for you.
Thank you, my dear. I sort of come up with an idea of a technique, and then it spawns, 6 more, and then they spawn more, and what have you, and I just keep going and going. So I've done a lot of like hand embroidery and sewing and things in the past, and so I'm kind of a little contrary. I don't know if you guys are.
No.
Really?
No.
And sometimes, when people say, well, you can't do knit and crochet in the same garment, like I'll be like, okay, I'm doing knit and crochet in the
I
same
think
It's
garment.
beautiful when you have both.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
do.
So I'm marrying embroidery techniques with knitting techniques. And I've done a lot where I've done like hand embellishments and what have you on top of the fabric. And I used to do that when I was designing for ready to wear. But this was one that I designed, came up with a technique based, I don't know if you can see that, but basically what we do is you knit the stockinette, let the stitches come off, drop the stitch, let them ladder them back down, and then I'm doing what is technically a drawn thread embroidery technique
Hold that for you.
into the ladders.
That is
That
so
is
beautiful.
So you get a
gorgeous.
really open work, and it's simple.
So, someone who hasn't embroidered, is this something any knitter can pick up the
No,
pattern?
Absolutely. If you
Okay.
can thread a needle, and it all has a photo tutorial with it, but this is one of the classes. And then I'm going to be talking about different other things that you can do with that. So this was, sorry,
Yeah,
go
this
ahead.
is, what is this design?
This one's called Reticilla, so I did this for Twist Collective, and I've forgotten which issue
Spell that for us.
Reticilla, RETCE. I think it's double LIA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's in Twist Collective.
In Twist Collective.
So people can buy this as an individual pattern.
They can.
Okay.
Yes.
So
yeah.
we'll make sure to put a note and a link
Yeah,
to that
a link.
one. Okay.
And so then, the ideas kind of
touch
keep
that?
Yeah.
flowing. So then what happens if you then, instead of doing just vertical lines, then do ones with shaping. So we've got, directional increases and decreases around.
Oh, I love, how'd you pick those colors, Fiona? Look at those colors.
This is a great, so I'm so glad you asked that.
That's incredible.
Look at that.
I'm always inspired by lots of random things, and this was a scene in The Danish Girl when the main character, Eddie Redmayne's character, is walking down this street, and she's wearing a blue dress, and all the houses are this beautiful ochre colour.
So did you pause at that moment and think, I need a sweater that looks like that?
Yeah.
Did you
In
really?
the movie theatre, I'm like, and then I get home and you can find the screenshots of them.
Yeah.
So I have it, and
Yeah.
so that was the colour story. And then there were greys and things as well. So that's where it comes
It has,
from.
for me, it has a really nautical feel to it.
Yeah, I guess the
I was-
stripes do that.
yeah.
I really like this waist shaping that you've got in here too, because
Yeah.
it's not on the side, it's sort of inset.
Inset.
Can you see
It's
that?
very
And
flattering.
the button band.
Oh,
I
know.
love the double,
Yeah.
those little details just make it.
I like doing little slightly different things.
love
It's all
that.
about details to me.
It is.
Because I think that, I'm going to talk about this in the finishing class, is that, you can make or break a garment by what you do with the edgings, whether you make them a feature or they're a supporting act.
Yeah.
So, just a little garter ridge reintroduces the
And I
colour
love your
somewhere
buttons
else.
in pairs.
Yeah.
Spaced like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just said that.
She was counting.
I thought you meant this golden, this on the button band.
No, I was
Sorry, I
referring,
thought you
was
meant
referring
this.
to the double buttons.
We can edit that out.
You know what I
that's
love, Fiona, when I'm looking at yours? You're very unconventional when it comes to, this, for example, is just so beautiful. You have the whole thing across the back. But look how you've done just little pops of the patterning in areas where you either see it all the way around, but
Yeah.
you've just sort of plugged little bits of surprise
I
in there.
like to do things with the asymmetry thing,
Yes.
right? I've always, even when I went back, I studied fashion design, I was doing everything that was asymmetric. So
Yeah.
asymmetric hemlines and things. When you're cutting fabric, you've got to be careful that you've got right sides and wrong sides, and which is the left and the right, and all the knitting's a little bit more obvious on that. But I do a lot. Of
Well, I
that
feel
kind of
like you've
treatment.
taken you take your traditional shaped garments and you add this fun pop of crazy,
It makes it
which
very-
is Fiona, and look what comes out.
Yeah, and
makes
they're
it very
still sort of
special.
very wearable without being out there, but
Yes,
they're not
yes.
just standard. And it's what I did with
I know.
Rosalind too.
I love it.
I was going to say that the details. This one's still in progress, but if you can see how you pick up for the band and do one garter ridge before you do the button band.
I love
And
that.
it reintroduces all of the colours that you've got somewhere else. And it looks finished. It looks polished.
Like a little picture frame.
It's like
it really
you put
does
on
pull it-
you put on lipstick.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
You've just completed everything.
It's just so fun. Your
Yeah.
designs are beautiful.
Thank you.
Gorgeous.
Thank you.
Well, Rosalind was inspired a bit by a Canadiana theme,
It was.
and
yes.
and the epic yarn. Yes.
Yes. Epic stories.
Epic stories. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And that was something that we discussed a lot about the whole concept for the patterns that in the epic yarn, that it was going to reflect your kind of customers, the sort of projects they would like to work on, and what this yarn is really suitable for. And so, we looked at Hudson Bay blankets and all sorts of other traditional
Snowshoes and
yeah.
campfires and
all of the things that make Canada Canada. And then when I came to make my version for me, and these looked very much like, I was knitting it on a plane coming back from London last weekend, and the Air Canada logo and everything. I'm like, oh, it's totally Canada.
You match your airplane.
I do. I spend too much time
my
on Air
gosh.
Canada. I guess.
So you're in Canada. I just want to quickly ask, what made you live here?
My husband got a job here,
Okay.
and we moved. He did his PhD in Massachusetts, and he's British too. And then he got a job in Toronto, and we moved there, and we've been there since '97. So it's home. It just feels like home, and
We're so glad you
Lucky us.
Yeah, so you don't let people, the accent doesn't make me sound Canadian, but I really feel like there is part of me that is I get it,
That's
I think.
wonderful.
Yeah.
So can I ask, when you said you were knitting this sweater on the airplane home,
Yeah.
was it half knit or how fast can you? Because it takes me a long
So
time to knit a sweater.
Do you want the whole backstory on
do.
this
Sure.
whole thing? So I had knit, I knew I wanted this sweater to wear this weekend. And so Barb and Cynthia hooked me up with the yarn. So it's good having, friends in the know who have yarn.
Yes.
And so I had knit this front, the right front, up to the armhole shaping. There's actually a whole story about that.
That was, that's not that much knitting. That's like, half a scarf sort of.
Right,
or
yeah. So I
a
had
quarter.
done that, and then I had been called for jury service, so I thought, this is perfect knitting. So I prepped it all, I got it ready to knit on jury service. I figured there'd be a lot of sitting around and what have you. And that's when I tripped and fell and broke my wrist on my way to jury service.
Was it because you were carrying your knitting bag?
Actually, I think I had a backpack on, and I think it was the extra weight in the back that just tipped me forward, and I didn't catch myself. So yeah, I think it might have been. But and so there's been a sort of an emotional response to this, like because I couldn't knit at all.
Yeah.
And
For
it
how
turns out
many weeks?
6 weeks.
Oh,
6
a
weeks.
nightmare.
I know.
What
And
did you
it's
do
like
instead?
I became
Yeah.
moped a lot.
Felt
Wept.
sorry for
A
myself.
lot of Netflix and reading. I
Okay.
went back to reading, but it was really frustrating, and I didn't even feel
Would
like
be.
myself.
Did you feel like
Sure.
shaping a knitting needle to your calf?
Yeah. How can I make this work?
Stick it into your arm?
And it was just, it's amazing what you can't do when you've got one hand missing,
Yes.
It's all sorts of personal things you can't do, pulling up your drawers and all that kind of thing, But so I had to put the project out of my sight. I couldn't even bear to know it was sitting there because I was so frustrated. And then 3 weeks ago tomorrow, Jessie, my orthopedic surgeon, said, I'm good to go, it's healed, I could take off the brace. And he said, yeah, try knitting, see how it goes. And I was taking a train ride up to Montreal, and I thought, okay, I'm going to take it with me. And the knitting came back, and it was like I could just knit for hours. And the gauge is fine, everything was fine. It didn't hurt at all. So I scooted through it. So in 2.5 weeks, I've knit the rest of this sweater. So.
2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
Of part-time knitting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
You're not
yeah,
knitting.
no,
You're not
not
knitting
knitting.
8 hours a day.
Well, I did knit 6 hours on the plane coming back from London because the deadline was looming. So I knit the other front on the plane on Sunday. So
So you were just in London,
I was.
teaching or visiting?
No, just for fun.
Yeah.
And then the funny story is that when I came to block the fronts yesterday, I hadn't measured them against each other, and this one was 8 rows too short.
How do you do that?
You
Are you drinking?
You
So
put
now what?
one away for 6 weeks and you don't come back and don't measure. And so then I had to rip it back to here and then do the extra 8 rows and put it in. And I'm like, I was up till 1 o'clock last night and I'm going to get this finished.
Fiona.
I love the stories attached to projects.
Yes.
And
This
there's
will be a
always
near and
story.
dear sweater for you.
It will. It will. And it's, it has all, like you say, it has
Yeah.
all of these stories.
Yeah.
Every project does have a story
I think so.
behind it. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good one.
It's a good one.
That's
though,
a
right?
really good one.
But I don't recommend this as a way of getting. You do get out of jury service, but I don't recommend it. It's like,
So, okay, I'll ask you that. So, when you guys spoke about all the inspiration behind designing this, did you know you wanted, did you know when you started where you were going to be placing all your different color work? Or does that come as you start to knit?
I was sketched. I sketched it to see where I thought the place, and I sent you like a bunch of different
In fact,
ideas.
there's
right?
a really cool story behind this because we were talking about, remember those stories we had as kids where you could follow your own adventure?
Love
right?
those.
Yeah.
So we were talking about that and saying, wouldn't it be cool if you had a sweater where you decide where you wanted to put in the patterning?
Yeah.
Now, in the way the pattern's written, you can knit it exactly the way that Fiona did, and you can put the patterning in exactly the way that she did, or you can put it in different.
Yeah.
If you're not a big fan of Fair Isle and you don't want to have an entire sleeve, but a sleeve, right?
Yeah.
Of Fair Isle. Tattooed.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
if you don't want to have all that patterning, you don't have to. You can
Right.
you can make it completely symmetrical if you like to have things symmetrical.
Absolutely.
So-
and you could choose to have the patterning up the top
Mm-hmm.
or around the bottom. And
And-
oftentimes we choose not to do that because
Yeah.
you're creating a big ring around what is possibly not our
Yeah.
finest moment. So we want a focus up here.
Yeah.
So, then you put the patterning and the upper section of that. But interestingly, this one is called Adelaide and Spadina, which is an intersection in Toronto.
I was
This
going to
is
say, I've
in-
heard those. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
So this is in Indigo Dragonflies yarn, and Kim, who's the owner there, and I do a lot of collaborations with this. And when she saw this, she said, "It's like a Lego sweater because they're building blocks. You can take each piece exactly like you said,
Right.
and decide do you want it symmetrical, and all of the stripe sequences are different."
I see that and I love that.
Me too. And you don't really get too bored, but you probably want to be careful about the
Yep, and if I
getting the
fold
sizes
this,
right.
if I fold this over like this, the stripes on the back are different than the stripes on the front.
Isn't
Yeah.
that cool?
That's
Yeah.
so fantastic.
I'll just spin it around again. This one's available on Ravelry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, we'll put a link to it.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. So
That is so
It really
Nobody has-
showcases that beautiful So that's what you call that ladder work, or what do you call?
I don't know. I should
You just
coin
made
a
it up?
term, shouldn't I? Yeah,
Laddered
I think
open
Cynthia's
work.
Laddered
Yeah.
open
Yeah.
work. Yeah, it doesn't have an official term. I should.
Oh my gosh.
I should come up with one, shouldn't
Yeah,
I?
yeah.
And then
Coin
I
it.
will be- but yes.
Trademark it. No, it's just so beautiful.
I
Fiona.
love that golden.
And your cowl.
Yes.
So did that come
Wow.
second? Did that?
It did.
Yeah.
It did. And so it's based on the chart that we're used for the
Yeah.
cardigan, and then this one's knit in the round. The cardigan's knit flat, but the cowl is done in the round. So Eldon's going to have to rework the chart on that because of the numbering system and what have you. But
we should mention Eldon is our brilliant graphics designer who does logos and he does patterns, and his wife Aya does
He's okay.
gorgeous photography.
He is awesome.
he's amazing. Yeah.
So it's a lot of work to put a pattern together.
It is.
So we've discovered.
So we've discovered.
But it's too late now to stop. We've already,
You've
we
signed me
jumped
up, you know?
We said to Fiona we need a hat.
Yes.
We need that in a
we could
hat.
definitely do a hat, and now we're debating whether it should have ear flaps
Yeah.
or not, you know.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So Canadian.
Yes.
Ear flap.
Picturing multicolored braid, like
Yeah.
the, God, that's just, I just love
Eye
that
cords,
color work
'cause I
so
love eye
beautiful.
cords.
Sure.
Yes. Yes.
Well, you got to talk to us a little bit about some of the other patterns too, Fiona, while
Sure,
you're here. Because
okay.
Fiona's also our in-house designer. So maybe you could start there, like talk to us a little bit about how that all started.
She's our designer manager.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, because I was going to say you have a whole bunch of really talented designers who have designed patterns in your yarns.
Right.
And so yes, I kind of wrangle that in, manager's a good name, right?
Because
So
it's a bit like herding cats, isn't it?
it is, yeah. And then, there's all of these different things that we have to coordinate. But we've got some beautiful patterns out of this whole.
But let's
so,
focus
so
on
the ones
you.
that I have done, I did what do we call these? The top shelf
Toppers.
shelf
I'm,
toppers.
Oh, look at that.
I just happen to be wearing a pair of
How coincidental.
out of San Jose. And then we've got some out of Epic as well.
Yeah.
And these are not just boot toppers. If you're cold,
Oh,
put on a
pretty
wrist
warmers.
topper,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
They're so
What a
gorgeous in
pretty
that
They
favorite
would also
cable.
make a kind of cool cowl as well, wouldn't it?
They
Obviously bigger,
would.
but,
They would. Yeah, and then there's an option for a turning chain
Yeah.
or not.
So
Yeah.
you can have them straight up, or you can have them folded over. So that the idea would be that it would go over your boot, and you could make this longer
really
if you wanted to
fun.
fit in there. But the class that I'm going to be teaching on cables will look at, okay, we have a cute little cable in here, but what if you wanted to come up with your own cable and then insert that?
Oh my
And
God, I'm
what-
panicking.
That's
my
the class we're taking.
It's okay. I'm gonna
I'm sweating.
trust
Fiona.
me. I'm a trained professional.
For me?
Say that again. Yeah.
Trust me. I'm a trained professional.
I'm so excited.
Woo!
I'm so excited about that.
Yes. So I'm going to show you how to do
Yeah,
that.
good.
Come up with your own
I'm
cable and then how you
thrilled.
would put that into this pattern.
Okay.
So that's the top shelf toppers.
Yeah.
Okay, and
And
that one was also available in fingering weight, right? Like we
Right.
did it in worsted weight.
The
then
pattern.
this was the hat trick originally,
Right.
wasn't it?
Right.
Well, the pattern includes instructions for both
That's right,
doing
I'd
it in
forgotten.
fingering
Yes.
weight. Like Tracie's working with hat trick yarn
I
right now as
am.
well. So you could do it with, if you have some left over, you could do boot toppers. But the pattern also includes working it in a worsted
In
weight.
worsted, okay.
Yeah. And the hat trick yarn is a little busier than
Yes.
Epic, and so but you can still see the cables in
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I, when I take the class, I might just make the cable fatter, right?
Yeah, you could totally make it beefier.
Yeah.
Add more to
See
it.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could do it in a semi-solid.
I could do it.
Right,
Yes,
and then
because
it will
now we
show
have
up.
semi-solids. Yeah.
That's right, we didn't have semi-solids all that
I
long, did
love
we?
it. Hat trick yarn is so plump.
Isn't
We
it?
love
I
it.
know.
Oh my gosh, it's great yarn to work
My husband
with.
might actually get a pair of socks.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed to tell you when I cast this on. So many months ago. But
Now,
What color
that's,
are you? What
this
color
is the Minnesota colorway.
Oh.
I love the
okay.
heel choice that you made.
Yes, and
Yeah.
so this is the Ride the Pine.
Yeah.
It's the
The
semi-solid.
pooling is
Yeah.
fun,
I
isn't
was
it?
just going to say that it's
Yeah.
really kind of neat how the pooling
I feel like they're
happens
perfect
there.
Christmas colors, so maybe I have it till December
Done.
to get his
Is
socks
this the
done.
first one or the second one?
Oh,
Fiona, I feel
this is
like
the
that's
first
judging.
Just,
You've heard of
warning.
second sock syndrome? I should get
I
it
have.
tattooed like here
Yeah.
because it's bad.
That's funny.
It's one of the reasons I do some things with mismatching sleeves or non-identical sleeves rather, so that you avoid second sleeve syndrome. Because
Right.
I tend
Oh,
to
I
do
can
mine
appreciate that.
independently. I don't
Sure.
do them both at the
Right.
same time.
Yeah.
So I have done designs where they're non-identical sleeves.
So it feels
you
like
have
you're doing something different.
something
Obviously, you're
different.
doing something
Yeah.
different. Okay, I like that.
And so hat trick. These were the lucky mitts.
I love these mittens.
I don't really know where the idea came to me, but I just realized that that we have to, if you're going to do mittens that you're going to wear for hockey, then you have to have somewhere to put your lucky loonie. It's not at centre ice so we get gold, then your team's got to be lucky somewhere, so you've got to put your lucky loonie in the pocket.
Yeah, that's just so clever.
Or, it could be your tickets, your bus tickets
Yeah.
or something, but I like to think of it as your lucky loonie, which is why they came the lucky mitts.
Yes, so there's a little pocket detail in there, and then a little loop with I-cord.
Yeah.
And a little button so you can close the pocket so you don't lose your loonie.
Right, that would be unlucky to lose your loonie.
We found buttons too that look like little hockey pucks.
Yeah, that's really cute. And then the cables look like little hockey sticks.
Yeah, who knew you could do that? Make a hockey stick cable. That's so
I
cute.
often see if I can come up with, I see a shape and I'm like, can you cable that? And sure enough, most things you can, so that's how I came up with the Paisley idea.
That is
Yes.
so beautiful.
Right?
Isn't that
Show us
cool?
that.
I don't know if you can see that on
Here, I'll
camera,
take
but
that for you.
It is so clearly a Paisley.
yes.
Yes. Even I recognized it, and I'm not.
So
Isn't
this
that
is
beautiful?
a nice fine
Fiona,
soft
that's
weight.
So pretty. So now, do you love? What is your favorite one to design? Fun new cabling pattern or a color work?
You see, people ask me that a lot, and it depends on the week. It's a bit like, what colour's your hair? Oh, it's different this week than next week. And so, I'm on a colour kick right now, but then it'll be cables.
So
the
what
next
were you
week, so-
thinking when you thought?
What was I thinking?
What's your thought process in thinking, I'm going to try to work at Paisley?
I was seeing an exhibition of Paisley shawls, these beautiful woven shawls, and I literally stood in front of them saying, I wonder if I can cable that. And I'm like, okay. So it took a little bit of, there's a lot of math involved to get the curves right, so it depends on the speed at which the cable is moving to create the curve. So if it needs to move faster, it crosses over by more stitches, and if it needs to be slower, it's fewer stitches.
But you kind of talk about that in your cabling class
I will
too.
definitely talk about that if it comes up. My classes tend to be a little freeform, but I will definitely talk about that.
So then that would change depending on the yarn you're using
Absolutely,
too,
yes,
right?
yes. So this is quite a fine gauge, so you can get a more detailed Paisley, and if it was a worsted weight, then it would be much clunkier and not quite as dainty.
Yeah.
Feel, yeah.
Right.
That's beautiful.
That's gorgeous.
Beautiful
Fiona.
yarn you chose too.
What's this
Thank
one
you.
called?
This one is called Paisley shawl.
Okay.
Aptly named.
I know. I was obviously not feeling
How do
very
you spell it?
imaginative. The fun thing about this one is the colorway is indigo dragonfly, and a collaboration. It's over dyed in a lavender purple, which you don't always see, but in some lights you can pick that up. So I wanted it to look like sari silk. So that's what Kim
course.
did. But then when I noticed it, I had the yarn next to my David Bowie shrine in my I did say David Bowie shrine in my studio, and I picked the yarn up and I'm like, oh, it's the same colour as David's hair in 1974. So Ron, who comes up with these crazy names, calls this ashes to ashes, stardust to stardust. So
That could have been your Stardust shawl.
Yeah. So the colourway is called that.
I
It's just
love it.
Paisley shawl.
Right.
It's also available on Ravelry.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, you just have a couple of patterns on Ravelry.
just a couple.
Couple hundred.
Okay, so I have a question. Can I ask you a question about your Ravelry patterns? For me, who doesn't have extensive cable or color work experience, I was looking through your patterns. Is there one that pops out for like a beginner in either of those areas that you think that might be a nice one to start with?
In cables, I have one that's called Regathering Intentions. So in my cable book, I did one that was called Gathering Intentions.
Okay.
And then it was in Mission Falls 1824 yarn, which is no more, R.I.P. So I reworked it in Mrs. Crosby's steamer trunk and reissued the pattern, so it's called Regathering Intentions.
Okay.
And it basically uses just 3 cables. And once you have them figured out, you can create what looks to be a complicated pattern, but it really isn't.
That's beautiful.
Tell me about the cord hanging.
Yes, the I cord. So that's
I
another of my
love
little
that.
signature things. This is so that you can dunk it in your coffee or trap it in a
I
car
would
door
pee on
or
it.
something.
Oh, did I just say that?
So I like to think of the I cords just being like cables that are not yet set in the fabric. They're like spilling out beyond the fabric.
That
It's a whole
is stunning.
concept.
That's
So,
beautiful.
so someone who's done sort of basic cabling, you feel like they can conquer this,
Absolutely.
no problem.
This is a you've learned to cable. This is a beginner cable because there are three cables.
Stunning.
Just 3 cables.
Is this a separate Ravelry purchase or is it only in the book?
No, the regathering one.
The regathering is re-released.
Yeah,
This is the last copy of our book.
I know. The collector's items.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love how you didn't tell me to start with a sock.
Yeah. Right.
Some people think the smaller the scale item might be easier. I mean, look
It's
at
less
that.
knitting, but it's no less complicated.
Yeah.
Socks are complicated, right?
They can be.
I don't
Turning
know.
the heel, I mean, there's a lot of techniques involved.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
a firm believer in if you tell yourself something is hard, then it is.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you don't believe it's hard, then it's not.
Fiona,
I totally
I'm knitting
agree.
a cable sweater this year. One of
Right.
yours.
Okay.
Done.
You're on.
Hold
I'm
me
gonna
to it.
follow you on that.
What color?
I would like that exact sweater.
Yeah.
Well, that yarn doesn't
Yeah.
exist anymore, but we can find the colors.
Yeah, no, I
We'll
mean,
find you something.
yes.
Yes.
Malabrigo.
We're in a yarn store. I'm sure we can find
I'm sure we can find something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
I love cables. They're so classic and elegant and fun, and you can do sort of to almost anything, right?
Yeah, absolutely, you can. Yeah. I haven't found the bottom of the pit yet. I keep looking, but I haven't found the.
I hope
there's
there isn't one.
Endless possibilities with cables.
I'm a big fan of color work because for me it feels like paint by number. You follow a chart and you just fill in the spaces with the colors that come up on the chart, and you see this picture developing underneath your needles. I mean, cables are like that too, right? You just follow the chart and you come up with a picture, but I don't know, it's just really pleasing to see it develop.
Yeah.
It's like a progress keeper because you're just working up the chart.
Do you knit, I'm asking this for everyone, how do you knit your color work? One in each hand or both in one hand?
Both in one hand.
Ooh, I would like
I
to
would
see
love
that.
to see you knit your color work, actually.
Okay, well, it can be arranged. Knitting as performance art.
Yes, there you go.
Do you knit in public? I mean, you must be
Yeah.
on the go all the time.
Yes, I'm
So
good,
do you
yeah.
take your knitting with you? And yeah, me too.
And some people say they're embarrassed.
Oh, no.
Come on.
I'm not sure.
No.
Yeah, because some people, like, knitting in public is like a thing where it's National Knit in Public Day. Well, I'm not sure why any other day wouldn't just be Knit in Public Day.
Yeah.
So I went to pick up Fiona at the airport today.
Yeah.
And while I was waiting for her to come through her door, I had my cowl because I'm feverishly trying to finish it for class. And I was standing there with my bag at my feet and this, yarn coming out of the bag, knitting away. And this woman came over to me and she said, "Oh, what are you making?" And I said, "Oh, it's a cowl." And we had this really nice conversation.
Yeah.
I never would have spoken to anyone in the airport.
Was she a knitter?
She said she'd knit a long time
Yeah.
ago, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure I got some strange looks from other people, but I think it's
It's
I
our
think
duty,
refreshing.
I think, to do that.
Yeah.
We had a customer once, a guy who learned to knit, and he said he loved it because he said it was the best way to meet women. It was better than dogs and kids.
Really?
He said, yeah.
Yeah.
And he was knitting on a plane, and he said he was knitting a scarf, and every now and then he'd hold it up like this,
Yeah.
and to see how long it was getting. And he said women were coming from all over the plane to stop in his aisle and talk to him because here's a guy knitting, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's a good thing to do in public.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think you do meet people for sure. They
It's a
come and see
conversation
you,
starter.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
I had a guy next to me in the airport sit down and watch me. Of course, I was knitting a sock, and he said 11 to 12. And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I'm a size 11 to 12." I said, "Do you know how special you have to be to get hand knit socks?"
11 to 12.
11 to 12. It
You
was
have
hot.
to be 11 to 12 out of 10. Right?
Well, pretty much.
Special.
At
Yeah.
least. Especially socks. There's 2 of them.
Yes. Yes.
So you're knitting a pair of socks. What
I
kind of
am.
heel is that, Tracie?
It's just a heel flap and gusset with a slip stitch heel flap. These are for my husband. Not the, I feel like these have to be a little bit sturdy for that. So yeah.
You kind of got slip stitches on that heel for reinforcement, right?
I think so. Yeah, they
Yeah.
seem to be quite thick and sturdy, and that's what I did for the heel flap. Just traditional, and it's just a garter ribbed sock, and I'm having so much fun with the way the cut patterning is just
Yes.
sort of pooling and swirling, and
Well, last week we had the sisters from Grand Prairie come in the shop
A couple of weeks ago.
a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
And they're working on socks too, and it's amazing how they're totally different. And
One sister's doing one colorway and another sister's doing another colorway, and they have 2 different gauges.
2 different
Okay.
gauges and 2 different stitch numbers too. One's got 72 stitches, I believe, and the other's got 64. And that difference in, needle size and number of stitches,
Yeah.
totally different patterns.
so this is a 72 stitch sock, and which
Is
I
it?
don't normally knit, but for my husband, that's what he needs.
And so let's see
So
what
it
you're getting.
is definitely
Yeah.
stacking up differently than,
A 64 is completely different.
yes.
I
Yeah.
love that. Do you ever knit crazy speckles? Like, do you ever go...
Generally not.
Not,
I
yeah.
tend to... I'm designing for yarns that need patterning.
Right.
Yes.
So something that's speckled or really heavily coloured doesn't need patterning. The yarn does its job. That's
Yeah.
what's making the statement. So I don't really design in those type of yarns.
Do you knit garments only for yourself sometimes when you're not being asked for
That's what I was gonna
design
say, is
work?
there such a thing as fun knitting?
Hardly ever knit for myself. I was going to wear Ruddington, but it's just a little too hot under the lights and everything.
Yeah.
That was the first time I knit something for myself, and it was a knit along at my local yarn store, the
Yeah.
Purple Pearl.
Did you host it?
I was, I kind of went along and did the rah-rahs
Oh
for
my
it. and
gosh,
it
how
was
fun would that
because
be?
everyone else was knitting one. I'm like, oh, I could join in and
Let's
actually
hold up
knit
your
something
sweater.
for myself.
You've got to hold up your sweater because
Yeah.
it's amazing.
So this is this is Ruddington.
Oh my gosh.
To show you the pretty side of it. And this is
so-
inspired by corset lacing. The cables.
Really?
Oh, yes.
And I always like to put fun little details on. This one, I love the cuff on this. It just has this one
Oh my gosh.
That just
cross there.
elevates it and finishes it
Yeah.
and makes it
See,
so
it's the lipstick.
pretty.
It's the lipstick.
It
And then
is.
just stockinette for
Oh my gosh,
because
the
too much
cables-
cables can be a little much.
So let me just look at that sleeve there. So there's just this little tiny cross.
So
in
when this
there.
pattern was released,
Yeah,
they thought the Purple Pearl, who is your local yarn store,
it is. Yeah,
thought let's have a knit along,
yeah.
and then you would pop in.
And
and that would be fun.
yeah, and so I joined in, and of course it's the Purple Pearl, so I did it in purple because
Of course.
and so it was like, oh, and then I realized because I'm making sample size for photography for magazine publications, they're always the smaller size. When I knit for myself, I'm like, whoa, that's a whole lot more knitting. But yeah, it was really fun to actually make something for
I love
myself,
it.
which is why I wanted to do Rosalind for myself. And, it is kind of nice to be able to wear your own designs. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think we're gonna have to let our guests go.
This was so
So
fun.
sad. It was so much fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh
Thank you
yeah.
for inviting us.
oh.
This was a great idea.
It's good. We're gonna have to do it again.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
have a little gift.
Oh.
And we should just, kind of top up.
Do we get free yarn?
something even better?
Okay.
Right.
Look at your eyes bug out of
Did
your
you see
head.
that?
Barb's been busy.
So naughty.
working.
I
So
have.
yeah, we're gonna have to go. We're gonna have to go to Toronto and do this
Yeah.
again. Maybe at the Purple Pearl.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sure they
I-
would be totally up for
Oh my
it.
gosh.
Look at this.
Look at that, was
Look at that,
clever.
they
You do that
twirled.
again.
I made stitch markers, so you have to take a pair.
Oh,
And
that's
you made these,
beautiful.
Barb?
Yeah.
And
You
progress
made them?
keepers. And earrings.
They're like,
Have a look.
So
And take a pair, just,
I'm gonna wear them as earrings. Can I say these new clips? Well, they're not new clips. When people are using these little earring backs,
For
it's my new favorite progress keeper.
Really?
It's the
So
one I
yes.
look for now.
What is that? Why is
Well,
that? Like, I wondered about that.
When you see these little lobster clips,
Yeah.
they work great. I
They
find
weigh
them,
down your stitch.
they don't weigh down my stitch, but they're fiddly. And someone with nails, and they just can be fiddly. But these large earring backs, you can just pop it open and easily my new favorite thing, Barb.
Well, see, I thought this is the best of both worlds, right? You can wear them as earrings, and then if you get stuck and you don't have a stitch marker, you can take them off and put them in
Yeah.
your knitting.
They're so
Right?
sparkly
Yes.
and gorgeous.
Thank you. What a treat.
Yeah.
Tracie, I'll have to pass this
Take
to you.
a pair. You
Yeah,
wear black
these
all
are
the time. I
gorgeous,
made
yeah.
some those black ones with you in mind.
Wow, these are really
Yeah.
beautiful.
Great.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for joining us. This was just so much fun. We got to do this again, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah. We're so lucky, right? Because we get to meet the best people. We have them here in Edmonton, we have them in Toronto, but I think Barb and I feel like we have friends all over the place, and it's
Yeah.
just so nice. Yeah. So anyway,
Thank
have a great
you.
weekend, everybody. Enjoy your knitting time, and we'll come back and
Yeah,
try and
let
do
us-
this really soon. Okay. All right.
Bye,
See you, everybody.
everybody. Bye.
Bye.